So this gadget recorded the type of sleep, and the sleep pattern was disturbed. I'm giving you a little biological, scientific explanation that please don't eat late in the evening, and you will curse me because you will have to cut down your parties. That's what it is. 80% rule. Physical activity, I will not talk about this. These people followed very simple activity. They didn't have sports clubs or gymnasiums, things of that kind. They were just busy, walking, gardening, doing household work. And that's all they did. Now that's something, purpose. Every morning they get up, they're happy that they're alive and they have some purpose in life. That's a very important point to keep in mind. Added 7 years to your life. 7 years. Stress, everybody mentioned, which is very important, these people. These communities, they have their own way of getting rid of the stress. Adventists, this is the Loma Linda group, they pray. They don't take wine, meat, none of that stuff. Acadians, they sleep in the afternoon, siesta. And the Sardinians do have their happy hour music, this and that. So this stress, and I'll come back to the last point, what did we learn? What do we do in our life? That's fine for these areas. Next, belong. Belong to something. What? Faith group. Faith-based group adds 14 years to your lifespan. Like you're sitting here, there are two parts. One is the religious part, that you are in a Hindu temple. That's your faith-based. But at the same time, the next slide will say, this is great, it is social. So this gathering, a similar gathering everywhere, has a lot of meaning. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Families, they attach great importance to the families, and sad that in the society we live in, broken families are common, increasing, and that's different here. Pardon? Individualistic, yes. And the last one, which we already talked about, is the social. Strong social network, and I already explained. We go for, say, sports clubs, swimming, or others. You meet all kind of people, talk to them, share your thoughts, that's social. So these are the 9 points this author has mentioned, and that leads to their healthy life. Now the writer is a journalist, but he has researchers and scientists on his team. So I think there is little more credibility to the information. Having heard this now, what do we do? That's the third objective. All of us, what should we do in our day-to-day life? Let's take the same steps. Okay, individual communities, let me give you how they have. Loma Linda, California. This is a community, 9,000 Adventists. This is one of the church Christian group. They are very conservative, very religious people, extremely religious. They don't drink alcohol, they don't touch meat, fish, none of that stuff. That's the group, and they live in communities. They live a decade, 10 years longer than other people in the United States. Vegetarian and regular exercise, which we covered already. What is so unique about them? We already talked about the vegetarian and regular exercise. Don't smoke and don't drink alcohol. They have listed 5 for this community which are good for them. No smoking, plant-based diet, which we already talked about, nuts several times per week. I think if you look at the Canada Food Guide, I'll come to that, that's what they recommend too. Regular exercise, nothing new, and normal body weight, nothing new. So the Loma Linda group points out very clearly, take the plant-based diet, no meat, alcohol, smoking, exercise, same thing. Animal product, there is a section of this community where they do allow, but not meat,
Eggs.
dairy products. They do. And rice milk and other things, they still do not recommend meat in any form and shape. Breakfast, mostly, as already talked about. And now coming on to Costa Rica.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
We have Seventh-day Adventists right here in Ottawa, and I have known this community
Yeah.
from a little bit far. I wonder if that applies to people who live
Everywhere.
here.
You know people in the
Personally.
community you said.
Yeah, there are communities here in Ottawa. I don't know whether it applies. to
But
them
I
or
just
not.
want to tell you,
Yeah,
a member of my family
yeah,
is Seventh-day Adventist.
okay,
So I see it every year.
okay. Are they
So,
living also longer? That's what I'm trying to say.
so I have lived with this person, see them as part of my family, and I know. So, what I told you just now, it is so true because I see it. And we prepare food accordingly.
No, food I know.
Yeah.
About food I know.
What about Costa Rica? What do they, how are they different? Plant-based, this, that. They live longer than any other areas of Costa Rica. So this is a small island. 30% is genetic. But they talk about genes. There are 2 things only, genes and external factors. Question of genes didn't come so far. And what do? 70% is due to lifestyle, which we talked about. What do the Greeks do? Have you heard of the Mediterranean diet? What is Mediterranean diet? This is very commonly talked about it. Scientifically, Mediterranean diet has been recommended. It's good. So what is it?
Vegetable and fish, seafood.
Olive oil.
Olive oil. Just remember, olive oil.
Tomatoes.
Sorry, just a moment.
Lot of tomatoes.
Fruits and vegetables already talked about. Olive oil, very important. Why? There's a reason behind. What is in fruits and vegetables? Fiber.
Minerals.
Something else.
All the vitamins. All the vitamins.
All the vitamins.
Enzymes.
One at a time. Enzymes. Antioxidants. Antioxidants. Have you heard
Water.
potassium?
Yes.
Potassium. Today you go and see the doctor for high blood pressure. Anywhere in the country, they'll write prescriptions. Take this, take that. What else would they recommend you? Take high potassium diet. Take high potassium diet. And that's a very important feature beside the olive oil. Less red meat and fish. Same thing. Nuts, herbs, so on, and sparing use of meat. And they have garden all round, basically. I did not mention olive oil, which is a very important feature. Now you come to Okinawa. What do they do? You all mentioned Japanese live on an average longer than anybody in the world. That's true. There are more people who are over the age of 100. What do?
They
Green
take
tea.
seaweed,
Rice, fish.
sushi. That's right.
Mainly vegetarian diet. Now, you may be surprised, and you know it, before the Americans went to Japan, they opened the bases, forced armed bases. Before that, before McDonald went there, before the other things went there, what were their main diet?
Tofu.
Tofu and so on. Have you heard of sweet potatoes?
Yeah.
75% of their diet was sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes. 75%. And they have very little evidence of disease. Since the hamburger things came up, and this is proven, they have more diseases now. 30% green and yellow vegetables. Just remember, all these fruits and vegetables that you eat, there is a book written on the color of fruits and vegetables, how important they are. So when you peel it, take it away, you may be missing quite a bit. And rice consumption, small. Fish, 11%, and very little of meat. Now, what I did not get from these papers that I read, I had no knowledge, there was no description. So that information is missing. And what is that? I have no information about the weight, the blood pressure, the lipids, and the blood sugar. Realizing that scientists and researchers were part of the team, this is obviously taken into account. So, for a moment I will accept that these were under control. We had no knowledge about their sleep pattern. They have no information about the environment degradation, whether it's chemical or it is electromagnetic, somebody talked about earlier. The cell phones, this, that, I have no information. Now the third objective, which is the last one in the next few minutes, where do we go from here from our point of view? We live in Ottawa. We know the Ottawa lifespan for males and females. We are that group. What should we be doing in our day-to-day life, taking into account what you heard from these authors? So I'll take you through diet. Protein, there are 6 things that we eat every day. Let's take one by one. There is no special order to it. You can take any order. Protein
Beans.
is written there, plant-based. So that includes what the author has said. We concur. And the Canadian Food Guide, International Food Guide, say the same thing, and I'll come back to that. So that is something. We can take it, it's plant-based. Legumes, beans, fruits and vegetables, things of that kind. Carbohydrates was not mentioned. We talked about in these seminars over and over, you have to cut down your refined sugar. And you know what that means? No ladoos, no jalebis, no burfis for anybody. That's what it means. That's precisely that it means. You gotta have grain, you can have rice. I'll talk about the refined sugar. Fat. The only restriction now is hydrogenated fat. Nobody talks today that strongly that you don't take butter anymore. They say you can take it in a reasonable amount. So the only thing left is hydrogenated fat. But we now coming. Minerals. Somebody mentioned here salt, and I cannot emphasize that you have to cut back on your salt intake, which they did not mention in these publications. I'm saying vast majority, most of us, we have to back off salt as much as possible. And more potassium, we already talked about it. Vitamins. We must take vitamin D every day. And we talked about this, and I'm going to repeat. Take omega-3 if you can, and it all comes in the form of tablets. Now the last thing is the water. Drink if you're thirsty. Now this mystery that you have to drink 8 glasses of water every day, it doesn't hold true scientifically. So I would say to you, drink only when you're thirsty. Now you tell me, when are you thirsty? There are 2 reasons only. One is,
Exercise. We don't do exercise, we don't feel thirsty. We don't consume much.
you are thirsty for 2 reasons. Your body is concentrated. So it tells the brain, I need water. How can you have in your body concentration of the things if you eat salt? There's nothing else. You eat salt, your body concentration goes up, it sends a signal to brain, drink water. So that is one, and the only one. The second, I'm talking about the indication. Indicators. What leads to thirst? Simply whether you do exercise, this and that, those are details. If you are breathing through your mouth is dry, and you try to drink, but that's not a good reason. So,
What about
Drink.
sugar? If
Sorry?
you eat too much sugar, sugar also.
Sugar is like salt, concentration.
Yeah.
Anything which makes the blood concentrated will make you thirsty.
I have a question about vitamins.
Yeah.
Vitamin D. This week in Globe and Mail, there was an article about debunking vitamin D theory that they did a study of about 40 or 50 vitamin D brands, and they said it doesn't do anything what the vitamin D claims in terms of reducing skin cancer. The only thing it does is it improves your bone.
Okay.
But as far as the
Can I
skin
ask
cancer
you to
is
give me
concerned-
the reference?
Yes.
So I look at it. Because what you do, as you take vitamin D for example, what are your expectations? I think that's what you're looking for. If you're taking vitamin D for skin condition, it may not be useful. But vitamin D, so far, including this morning, before I came, I looked at it, it should be taken. So vitamin D, give me the reference, I'll look at it. Praveen, you had a comment?
Yes, and it had to do with vitamins. Most vitamins are now sold over the counter, but should they be taken without consulting one's doctor?
Okay. It had been proven time and again that you don't take vitamins unless you are deficient
In something.
in vitamin. You don't take it if you have enough. Now, do we have studies? There are lots of studies. Over and over, all over the world, that taking extra vitamins in general has no benefits unless you are deficient in that vitamin. Why vitamin D? All of you go and take your blood sample to the lab, you will be low in vitamin D.
So we don't have the sun, we don't go in the sun.
And this thing, we already heard, sun has no bearing whatsoever on creating vitamin D. We have done this study here, Health Canada, and I was part of it. Makes no difference whatsoever if you expose yourself to the sun. Why? Because of the dark skin. Time and again, it has been proven, and recommendation is you take vitamin D, 1000, unless proven otherwise. So that is your diet. Yes.
Most of the milk that we consume is fortified with vitamin D. Do we still need to take?
Yes. Go, do get your vitamin D checked, please.
That's another one.
And it has been proven. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Because if you did not attend that seminar, we have covered it. We are low in vitamin D, no matter what we say. Please go and get it checked. Yes?
What a vitamin which is mixed with omega-3 and CoQ10.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Pill,
you don't need
CoQ10.
anything else other than vitamin D and omega-3. All those studies have been done.
And another question is, what are the yellow vegetables and fruits?
Oh, there's a long list. Oh, what did I do now?
You need to go to the next slide.
Yeah. But why is it not doing it? Sorry. Okay. The food guide. It's a short one, and that is, in this year, we had a landmark study. There were 30 leading scientists from 16 different countries and the Canadian Food Guide. There are two questions: what is healthy diet and how we can provide this diet? Next. What is healthy diet, according to these two, is exactly what we talked about. Go ahead, Lily. Fruits and vegetables, nuts and legumes, whole grain, cut back on red meat, saturated fat, processed food, and sugar. We already covered. And this is international body and the Canadian health guide. Now they came up with a plate. You take a plate, as we do every day, fill the top half of your plate with fruits and vegetables, and the bottom half, beans, nuts, and so on and so forth. That's what this study shows. What are the other things? Yeah, go ahead, then, all of them. No, oh, can I go back? Wine. You like it, take it. It's not a recommendation. I don't do it. But that doesn't mean that right or wrong. You have a choice. 80% rule, I can't stress the importance of it. Eat less. Eat less. Physical activity, purpose of life, stress, belonging to a community, family, social network is super. Super. Other consideration, and that's where I come back to us, I'll emphasize again and again yoga and meditation. And yoga and meditation is not only one part, there are 8 parts to it. And second point, people ignore it, and they should not do it. You have bacteria in your gut, intestines. Those guests that you have in your body, they are wonderful. So don't throw them out. They are sit there and help you. All the bacteria in your intestines, you study more and more, they are beneficial. Don't disturb it, and if you can supplement it, it's better. Antibiotics misuse is the worst of the whole. They did not obviously talk about spices. Haldi, turmeric, which we talk about in our food, I think is very important. Environmental degradation, we already talked about. I think it's very important. It's a big concern. So, conflicting evidence, but concern. Golden rule. I think this is something we miss unless we do start at early age. The benefits will be very less, little. If you start 70s, 80s, still they are good. But if you start at a young age, and there's a study done at the CHIO here, the little children under the age of 18, little fatter, little blood pressure higher, little sugar, and they have health problems. So we have to start early. And the last one is almost 3. Do not ignore it. I think we hear it, oh, in the evening I have to go to a party. Well, I'm not saying don't go to the party, but think of it. I think this is what I want to stop. It's 3 o'clock. You participated in the discussion. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes?
There was a study done by ND.
Please?
Discipline. Everything you said, it was in the book, except he also emphasized discipline of 3 things: sleep time and exercise. That fix up a time, and everything will fall into place. But he didn't mention discipline.
See, I just want to repeat what he said. We talked about it. Sleep is very important. And physical activity. What is the third thing we should
Fix a time for sleeping, exercise, and eating.
Yeah,
3
okay.
times.